I have to tell you, my first thought when you ask that, you say, okay, we're made in the image of God, and then I think, we haven't a clue what the image of God is in terms of a physical, pictorial sense. And to the extent that they've been created for us, and there are plenty out there, they're all man-made, or I guess I should say human-made. They come from what over time people have imagined God to be like. So from one perspective you say, well, we don't know, it is really all mystery, and yet we've been presented over time with a lot of different images, some of which are positive and some are not very positive. You know, revengeful God or very controlling God.
Yeah, I'll smash you to pieces like we heard this morning.
So then it takes a deeper look. And I think particularly in reflecting, I'm more helped by thinking, how are we in the likeness, that other phrase, the likeness of God, or how do we reflect God? And then it can get me beyond a picture to what do I experience God to be like?
Mm-hmm. Well, I went a different path because I thought, oh, I have heard all my life, oh, she's a spitting image of her mother. Or doesn't he walk like his dad? You know, like we take that, we assume that we know both poles when we're talking about, oh, it resembles her or like her or what. We know who we're talking about, but God, we haven't got a clue. The only one who knows, I think, God might know, what is meant by that. So I thought, well, now that, so we don't know what we're saying. So I thought, I've got to think about this differently. So perhaps it's more like when it says we are made in the image and likeness of God, that we are being told that by knowing ourselves and by knowing the people among whom we are, we get some idea, we get some clue about who God is. So people are a path into knowing something about God. So, okay, so we're all pieces of revelation. That's how I went, because I don't know anything. So in a way, what we know of God, maybe we have ferreted out through the many centuries since this statement was made, through the many centuries, what in us is God-like. Of course, that means we have to imagine what God is like, but we get nothing else. So I think that's where I went with that.
And I think that for medical mission sisters, a major part of how we are individually and even communally coming to understand who God is like, has been fed by, enhanced by the intercultural experience that has been so much a part of almost all of our sisters' lives. I could say all of us in various ways, but some for many, many years in different cultures, among peoples who are very different, among peoples in countries where different religions are the predominant religion. It's now, 25 years ago that we did the core aspects reflection, something like that, around the world. So every one of our, core aspects of our spirituality. We reflected around the world, all of the medical mission sisters, on how we have come to know God and how we would describe our spirituality. And that booklet is just so powerful in reflecting from every one of the continents that we are in, how that experience is different, how our minds have been opened up, how our, see people that are different, see people whose cultures are so different from ours. And I think that that's helped us to not be as blind or not be as caught in the silos that we can live in, to open up our vision and our understanding of what is good, what is powerful, what is nourishing, what is alive.
Yeah. And I think that Anna Dangle had a lot to do with that, because I have heard from the time I came into this society that it was like that in 1925. We don't go out to convert anybody. We go out to do medical care, professional medical care, and health care. So we have no business in making, listening to our religious orientation or trying to convert people so that they can earn the right to have medical care. No, that was just never part of it. So that in a sense helped us to come to the point where we had to listen to people to see where they are, what they're doing, what matters to them. And their spiritual traditions were very powerful. They were very powerful. So, and we got to learn what their spiritual traditions were like. So, in them, we also learned new dimensions of God. And in this book, I was so excited when I read this. Well, I worked on putting this book together. But I was excited when we got all those inputs from everywhere. I found that very exciting. Because in each piece from every continent, there was such an agreement about, we're led by the Spirit to go take care of these people, and we're learning something new about God. Mm-hmm. And when I read that, I thought, wow, that is true. That is true. And because how could we even think we know everything about God? We don't know everything about God. We know nothing. But the revelation that's in everybody leads us further, So I think that little thing that we hear, made in the image and likeness of God, that's a piece of revelation, but we don't know what it is until we find out, until we discover it, so to speak, and I think, that's kind of nice. When we get in contact with people of a different culture, a different nation, different belief, that is a way of expanding our own awareness, which is maybe matches. No, can't do that either. But God's awareness includes all that. So we're being included in God's awareness more. You know what I mean? It's kind of like by meeting the people that we work with and wherever they are. Like, God knows all those people. So here we are getting to know those people. And so we're connecting with God just by doing that.
I think the image makes a lot of difference. Yeah. I think the image of Jesus makes a lot of difference. I'm not sure now that I have a visual image of God in my life. I think I have a relationship with God, but I don't, and for a long time, have a visual image of God. I have a relational experience with God. And I think I really do agree with you, because I think that I think God has been the subject of some really cruel interpretations, or scary ones, or, you know, I can just imagine some of the threats made in churches in particular, especially with younger ones who haven't found their own footing in life yet, and who, you know, are threatened that if they're not good, God will punish them, or God will do something bad, or it's just not the way it is. And I think there's some responsibility to clean up some of that, because I think probably, and I haven't really considered it deeply, but I think probably all the churches are guilty of that. All the major, or even just all the religions. And fear plays a huge piece in life anyway. And I don't think that we need to lay that on the feet of God, or anywhere with God at all.
Okay. So I have one more question. Being at MMS and just learning as much as we care about people and you know, helping through health and medicine, I've learned like care for the earth is a big concern. So how do you think we should interact with the earth, or our perspective on how we interact with the earth? How should our being image bearers, images of God, how does that influence, what's the relationship between us and the earth, and how should we think about it?
Well, I think we're finally coming to some dawning. And the dawning is that we have had, I think, a very, very serious mechanistic view of earth and creation. I think that's not the way indigenous people, Native American, indigenous people of many different cultures and lands think or relate to earth or creation in general. And I think because we are dawning to the beginning, I think, or it's not the beginning of the beginning, because I think early on maybe it was very different. But for us in the developed and industrial material world, I think we're finally catching on to the fact that we're one among. We humans are one among. And that it's all an awesome interrelationship and a network and a web of life, all interdependent. And all kind of, I think it's maybe, I don't know, sometimes it feels a little oversimple, but all one, really, because each depends on the other. So I think it's crucial. And I think we're just beginning to really get at some of that. But I think climate, I mean, one of these days, we're going to have to really become serious. I think the younger generation is really starting to get hold of it in a different way than we are. And it's interesting to me because they're the ones that are always on these devices of all kinds. But they too are the ones that are in the streets really trying to demonstrate and trying to get some of the all-knowing adults or the politicians or the moneyed concerns to really pay attention to the implications of things. So I think because it's a part of creation, I think that's why fundamentally we need to pay attention to it, and pay attention to it in a different way of being than we or our nearby generations, meaning our fathers, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, and our great-great-grandfathers. Some of us have lost it that long, or maybe even a lot longer. This way of being in nature and appreciating creation. All of it. That's what I think.